everyone. Welcome to the Play Choices podcast, the podcast you hear. I'm your host, V.
Hi, guys. I'm the co-host, Lucas.
So, we're going to spend this episode discussing chapters 11 through 14 of the Nanny Affair Book 1, and this episode is not spoiler safe. So, if you want to avoid spoilers for the Nanny Affair Book 1, chapters 1 through 14, please go read that first, and then we'll be here whenever you're ready to come back and listen. Before we continue this episode, additionally, want to put a content warning as the Nanny Affair is rated as 17 plus, so it has pretty explicit descriptions of sexual situations, and so that will be something that we discuss naturally. So if that makes you uncomfortable or if you are underage, then I would advise that you join us on a different episode that doesn't discuss content of that type of nature. How you doing?
Yo, I'm straight chilling. Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride.
No, I'm good. I really loved these last couple of chapters because I feel like they were, a lot of special moments between you and Sam, and it's like more plot driven, which is weird because like this is the first time that we've gotten to a book this far. And it's weird to see like the structure of like a norm-based episode, like a norm-based like chapter. Because like I just feel like if most chapters are like 16 chapters, right? I mean, most stories are 16 chapters.
Yes, but the Nanny Affair is 20 chapters.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. That makes sense now. Because I'm thinking that it was 16, so I'm like, it seems kind of late for like a climax type, rise in action situation, which I feel like.
So you were thinking that like it was going to end without them being together, and book 2 was going to be about them being together.
Right. Because I was like, wow, we're like we said, we're discussing chapters 11 through 14. So at the end of 14, I'm like, wow, there's only 2 chapters left, and there's like a lot of like climax type plot scenarios that I would consider. But now understanding that it's 20 chapters, I think it does line up pretty well.
Yeah, I agree, because it felt like 10 and 11, which were like, the middle chapters of 20, were like where shit started to flip. Because like the first kind of like chapters 1 through 9, towards the end of chapters 1 through 9, you kind of got a little bit of a taste of like more difficult discussions and conflicts that Sam and Anna were going to have to handle. But like in chapter 10, it was like, Robin knew, so they're yelling at you. Then chapter 11, like Sofia's like, bitch, I know. She doesn't know, but she has some suspicions, right?
Right.
So it was definitely very interesting to read. Yeah, this is definitely like, again, if you've listened to the earlier chapters of the Nanny Affair episodes that we've done, which if you haven't, then like, what are you doing here? Like, go listen to those first. But if you have listened to those, and like, you would know there are multiple times during this whole thing where I had fond memories of the Nanny Affair, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, well, why? Because obviously, like, the first couple of chapters are super, like, this entire plot is, like, super trashy, but definitely, like, the first couple of chapters are super, super trashy. The MC warms up to Sam, like, to me, a little bit too quickly, and it's just not that believable. And so I was sitting here like, well, why the fuck did I even remember liking this plot? And now getting into these chapters where you're further into the plot and further into the conflict between what is essentially a love triangle, I'm remembering more and more and more why I enjoyed it.
Yes, like I was talking straight shit at the beginning chapters of Nanny Affair. I just could not get behind it. Just the thought of like a single LI, the character development between you and Robin, like I just could not get behind it. But now that we're progressing more in the rising action and climax portion of the story, I am so hooked. Like, as much as like I don't want to admit it, Sam got me around his little fucking finger. Like,
oh really? You're like really into Sam now?
Yes, I am so into Sam because, especially in chapter 14, I believe there's a conversation where most Def talk about it, but Sam says something, and he's just genuinely like, I'm not choosing you over. Like, I'm not choosing Sofia over you. I'm choosing my kids over you. And I was like, oh, okay.
I think it was around, I remember distinctly chapter 14 when I was playing it the first go round when it had first released. I remember just being so upset.
Yes, we'll get there. But yes, I was so butthurt. I was like, damn, okay.
And like what you describe as like an affection for Sam, turned into me being like, fuck this man.
Wow.
I play a male Sam, so that's why I'm very specific about man. But I was like, no, fuck this man. Because I was like, okay, like, obviously I'm not trying to sit here and argue with some dude to like pick me over his kids, because who the fuck does that?
Right.
What good person would do that? But I was like, if this is what you feel like you have to do, and like you and your whole family living in the 16th century, where like you got to trade dowries and shit, then like what am I doing in this situation? Like, I
I
was like,
did feel
Anna,
that
if you don't
way.
pick up some sort of self respect for yourself and put your panties back on
Damn.
and
That's
go sit with the kids, like,
that's so crazy because you're coming from like a like definitely where like I feel like the character's coming from. I feel like Anna's definitely like fuck all that, like you know we're perfect for each other, stop playing type viewpoint. And I'm coming from like a if you had to choose someone over me, it better be your kids type viewpoint. Like
right. Well, let's jump into, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in depth, but let's just jump into chapter 11. So, chapter 11 is titled The Shopping Trip. And again, as a reminder, the default name for the MC is Anna. So, that's how we're going to be referring to her. And the chapter summary says Sophia corners you about your feelings for Sam, but will you be able to admit the truth to her or yourself? So, as a reminder, the last chapter left off with like Sophia knocking on our door the morning after the picnic and being like, I know what happened at the picnic, right? So, we're like, oh shit, shit's about to fucking go down. Sophia about to, I don't know, she gonna pull her hair, she gonna rip our clothes in half. I don't know. Some cat fight's gonna happen, right? But the chapter does pick up from this line, but turns out that it's not exactly what you would think it was. Robin actually told Sophia about the conversation that they had at the picnic, which like I don't know how descriptive Robin was in the recap of that conversation.
exactly because I feel like even the bare minimum is more than enough to have like a serious conversation. Because the bare
Yeah,
minimum would be like, oh hey, Anna and Sam are fucking behind your back. Like that I just feel like that's the bare minimum. Like
I feel like the bare minimum is I suspect that Anna has a crush on Sam, because if you don't admit to Robin like what happened,
that
that's
is
probably the
true.
smallest
Yeah,
conclusion
yeah.
that Robin could walk away with, is at the very least maybe there's some sort of affection that's happening between the two that kind of complicates the relationship between just like a nanny and her boss.
I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt. I said, damn Robin. I said, wow, that's kind of fake. Okay.
I don't really like I mean, granted I'm playing with knowledge of what Robin's character is and what Robin does from the entire book, but like, to be honest, I just interpret that as Robin taking every single avenue that they can to like stop this relationship.
To look out for himself.
And why would you say that?
Because if this whole situation blows up and the parents find out that Sam was cheating on Sophia with me, knowing that Sophia is an important investment with like this whole business dowry partnership type shit, they're gonna give the CEO position to Robin.
Mhm.
And that's obviously something that Robin doesn't necessarily want.
Right.
He wants a role in the company, but he doesn't want to be the person to like make the decisions. He relies on Sam for that.
Why do you say that he doesn't want that?
Because I feel like it should be more of a competition of like, oh yeah, Sam might be like top running in order to get the CEO position, but I'm right behind them. Like I want it as well. I'm fighting for it. I should feel like it should be more opportunities to like try to sabotage Sam and not look out for him in the sense of again, Sam, I play a male Sam, but it would be like more so like hey, like, be careful instead of like, hey, no, don't do that because you're going to ruin everything.
Do you not interpret Robin going to Sophia as like a way to warn her to not get married to him?
No, I take it in a sense of like if anyone could stop it and has like the audacity and the balls to do so to make sure that their future's in check, it is Sophia
Mhm.
because of her very controlling nature. Like she print and proper down to everything. And even in this chapter that we're about to talk about, chapter 11, you
Mhm.
can clearly see that her laser sight focus is the progression and the promotion of the company, not Sam.
Yeah, it's definitely a business arrangement between the two of them. Like, I don't think she feels super passionate about him. I will say, I think it's interesting you walked away from that conclusion. I would say at the time of playing chapter 17, I personally feel like we don't really know what Robin's motives are. Like, we can kind of guesstimate, but like until we hear it from Robin's mouth, it's kind of hard to understand, right? Because at the picnic, they're doing this whole thing of like, well, we're just worried about you, Anna. We're concerned about your feelings. To me, the level of anger that Robin has, it just, how do I describe this? If I have a friend who's doing something stupid, I mean, yeah, it's going to make me angry, but I feel like there's kind of a limit to it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not like personally impacting you. Like, I've definitely gotten angry at a friend for doing something dumb, but if it didn't impact me, I feel like there's a limit to the level of emotion that you reach
Exactly.
when you're trying to get that friend to not do it, right? Because I feel like there is a certain point, like I've definitely reached points where I was like, clearly you're not listening to me, so I just have to step back. But you can see Robin kind of interfering. Robin is clearly interfering, so it feels like to me there's a level deeper there. And like at this point it's like, is it to help him progress in the company? Is it just because like we know that they've been family friends for a really long time. So like almost to a certain degree you wonder like how close are Robin and Sophia?
Right. That is true. And to piggyback off of what you said, this isn't just like, oh, like just like a normal friend. Like if we had a friend that was doing something out of their nature, we might be like, oh, hey, like you're kind of like wilding out. Like there might be a little like sincerity, a little bit of like caution about that. But like Robin knows who Sam is. This isn't Sam's first time like kind of going off the deep end doing whatever they want to do. So
Hmm.
for Robin to really fight Sam's like reckless behavior, even though that's kind of the norm in the family, just shows that like he's like really trying to just like fix the situation and like really be like, no, let's like nip this in the bud. Let's stop this right now.
And that is one thing that I will say is like very bizarre from like Sam's point, is because like him and Sophia like literally grew up together the way that Sam describes it. So it just feels very strange to me that like Sam is like this comfortable cheating on Sophia, because like
Yes,
even
right?
though it's not a real romantic relationship, it's like you have literally known Sophia for like the majority of her life. So like the fact that you feel this comfortable just like cheating on
Right.
her is very, it just feels very weird to me.
Like for like to say the least, you guys are best friends by association, and like you just wouldn't treat your best friend like that. Like regardless of
Right.
like what arrangement you have.
There's just a certain type of like level of respect that you should have for a person that you've known for your entire life when they've grown up being family friends of your family. And so it's just very like bizarre to me, to be honest. But I don't know, maybe we can just sketch that up to the fact that like Sam is, like you said, very well known for doing wild shit all of the fucking time. So like maybe that's it, but it just feels very like bizarre to me. I don't know. So I don't like, I see where you're coming from, but I feel like for me personally, at the point of playing chapter 11, like I don't think we have enough information to understand like what Robin was like attempting to do here. Like I think you could kind of argue it both ways, that like
Right, right. I do agree.
Robin
I
could
do
be
agree.
trying to like fuck up their like trying to like tell Sophia like, hey, don't do this, or maybe Robin could be like trying to stop Sam from making a dumb decision. But
Yeah.
it's like at this point, it's very very difficult. And like I said, like I said this in like 2 episodes ago about the Nanny Affair, which is that the Sam and Robin's sibling relationship is just so fucking weird to me. Like I just do not understand their relationship whatsoever, because you would think like most siblings that I know that like talk about their other sibling like they're annoying, there still is ultimately some sort of like sibling love and like protectiveness there, even if there is a little bit of a rivalry. But like when I tell you that Sam has had nothing positive to say about Robin up to
No,
this point, and it's so bizarre. Like
at
it is
all.
so bizarre to me how much Sam dislikes Robin, because it's like every single time this man is out here acting like he's on To Catch a Predator. Like I'm like, what is the issue, Sam? I just
Like,
want to know.
like the moment Robin shows up to any event, Sam has like a grimace on his face.
Yes. He's like, I can't believe this bitch is over here breathing my air.
Literally.
So I don't know. At this point, I don't really know what the motivation is behind Robin. So I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out in a couple of chapters. But either way, now we know that Sophia knows about the conversation that they had. And Sophia says that Robin was out of line and told Robin to leave Anna alone, which is very interesting. Very interesting. Like you said, best case scenario for Anna is that Robin tells Sofia, like, listen, I tried to handle the scenario without you, but like that didn't work. So now I just need to tell you that I think Anna and Sam are like getting affectionate with each other. And worst case scenario is I know that they've fucked before. So like the angle that Sofia must be playing right now, it feels like a don't worry, baby. I told him to leave you alone because I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yes. 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 It gives me very much like, how dare you not think about, like, okay, because you got consequences with everything, like consequences with Sam, consequences with the company, consequences with Sofia. And I feel like Sophia's given very much like, how dare you not even think about the consequences between me and you only? Like, that should be most important. Like, you think
Hmm.
you could step against me type shit? Like, it was just very awkward. Like, the way Sophia, like, had that conversation with you and was like, just, oh, I can save you because, like, you are, like, you should feel embarrassed that you even think that you can take Sam. It kind of made me mad a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was very weird. And like the only way that I could explain that to make it sound like nicer is like maybe she feels kind of bad about the way that she handled the entire situation where like Anna defended her from her dad. Like maybe she's like, okay, well she defended me, so I'm gonna defend her. But like Sophia doesn't really read like that type of character to me. Like I think everything that Sophia does has some sort of angle to it to where it benefits her.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It just felt like she was being fake nice. Don't worry about Robin. Like, bitch, I'm gonna put you in check today. So Sophia will open with like the real reason why she came, which is that there's a charity gala event that's happening that night that she needs some help on, and then Sam basically gave Sophia permission to get Anna's help. So the one detail that I will point out during this conversation is that like during the scene there are multiple opportunities for Anna to like either we get to the same conclusion, which is that we have to help her, right? But Anna can either like do this without complaining, or she can like confront Sophia about whether or not Sophia's going to be nice to her for the rest of the day, and also try and get her fired. And to be honest, I don't think Sophia came off as bitchy as you might have expected her to be whenever Anna brings up these type of things. Like she basically says she just gave up and moved on from trying to get Anna fired and thinks that Anna's demands of like Sophia being nice to her are like actually really fair. And then she also says that Anna will be compensated like double time for like doing something that is outside of the scope of her job. So just a very like unusual moment I think of like niceness coming from her that caught me off guard when I was playing it. Did you play like bitchy or nice in this scene?
Oh, I def played bitchy. I'm not even gonna lie. I def played bitchy. Part of me is just like, huh, just like this is like destructive behavior towards Sophia and Sam, because like I truly am tired of like the back and forth. Like if he doesn't just choose me, we about to have some issues type shit. And so like I'm just like, Sophia, you mad fake, you just try to get me fired. And later on in the Sam interactions, like I very much tried to hold them accountable for like everything that's like been going on. So like I was just like these past four chapters, I was just mad aggressive.
Okay. So you were like not impressed by her responses whatsoever.
No, no, I was like,
Okay.
no.
So after Sophia leaves, Sam will enter the room and there's some like flirting that happens before Sam offers to make Anna breakfast, and it is a diamond option, so did you take this?
No, because why the fuck he threw me to the wolves? No, I did not. No, you can't. No, no, no. Like, I just feel like that's one of the worst things that could happen to Anna's character is to spend a whole day with damn Sophia.
Yeah.
And you behind this? No, I don't fuck your breakfast. I don't care.
Fuck your breakfast. Okay, so if you do take the breakfast scene, I'll go ahead and describe it. So I would say it's a pretty sweet scene. I do think that the diamond scenes between Sam and Anna become a lot more endearing in the back half of the book. But Sam will basically, I was gonna say it's a sweet scene, but actually the sentence that I wrote down actually pisses me off. So Sam like starts to cook breakfast. They are like whipping up the pancake batter, right? And then Sam turns to Anna and is like, "Can I get some help? Because I'm not good at cooking." And I'm like, "I know I did not just pay Diamond's help Sam, cook me breakfast when the original offer was for Sam to cook me breakfast.
Oh my god.
So, it's just this scene where like they're both in the kitchen. They're being like affectionate and like playful with each other while they're making the meal. But at some point, Anna will drop like syrup on the floor, and they'll both get on the floor to clean it up. And I honestly don't know how to explain to you how this happened, Lucas, but like somehow they make it sexual. Like they're on the floor and like there's syrup on the floor, Anna's cleaning it up, and then they're like close to each other, and it's like I can feel Sam's body heat like radiating off of them. And then she like takes like a little bit of syrup and like she puts it on like her neck, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to like help me clean that up?" And like that's how it becomes sexual. It was like the most like ridiculous intro to a sexual scene that I've ever read. But it does become sexual. They start to get like really hot and heavy in the kitchen, and then the boys will like run into the kitchen because they like smelled like the pancakes and stuff being cooked, and it interrupts the entire scene. And then she'll leave. So that's what happens during the diamond option. And didn't Sophia say that they had like an hour between when she knocked on her door and when she was supposed to meet her?
Right.
I'm like, y'all, how how'll she get enough time to have breakfast and head on her way to wherever they're gonna go?
Right. This wasn't a quick breakfast. Like, no, like y'all made it, you got wet a little bit, y'all ate, and then you went. Like that's a long time.
And I think that if I can't remember, does this happen where Sam also gives you coffee if you're like on your way out the door? Does that happen if you don't take the diamond scene?
Anna said something like, Sophia really wants me there now, or like kind of like I should just go ahead and get this over with. All I need is coffee. And then Sam says something like, oh, it's already made for you, like in the kitchen. And then like theoretically you just get coffee and go.
I'm not buying that she had enough time to get there on time. But anywho, later Anna will meet Sophia, and the scene will pick up at a salon where Sophia asks Anna to like quiz her while she gets some eyelash extensions done. And basically, Anna is quizzing Sophia's knowledge about the colleagues and the elevator pitch for like when they go to the gala, right? So how she's going to speak to her relationship with Sam, how she's going to get people on their side so that way they can develop some business connections at the gala. And Anna will just continue quizzing Sophia through like multiple locations. They finally end up at a boutique where Sophia is trying on clothing to find a dress for that night. And Sophia will ask Anna to help her like zip up one of her dresses, which is like when Sophia reveals that she knows that Anna has a crush on Sam. So at this point, Anna can either like pretend to not understand what she means, say that it's more than a crush, or apologize. Like, how did you respond to this?
Again, aggressive. I said, baby, it's more than a crush. Please don't downplay it. Please don't get it twisted.
So if you do say that it's more than a crush, Anna will insinuate that Sam has feelings for her too, but Sophia will just brush it off as like Sam being nice. So it is really interesting that like even when you are very upfront about this, Sophia doesn't even like let herself believe that Sam is fucking Anna. Like just
Yes. And that's what pissed me off because Sophia was like, oh, equivalent to like if I was a child and I handed her a cell phone, she pretended to answer it. Like Sophia literally was like, "Oh, okay, sweetheart, whatever you say."
right.
Anywho, how do my boobs look good in this dress? And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
he does not see you as a threat at
No,
all.
he doesn't. And like I pick the apologize route, and Sophia will be like, "Don't worry, girl. If I was threatened by you, I'd have to be threatened by everyone that's a passerby on the street."
Oh my god.
I'm telling you, bro, she just steps on Anna's ego like so fucking quickly with like no hesitation. So, no matter what you pick, Sophia will finish by saying that Anna and Sam are on the same level socioeconomically, and therefore, like, Anna will just eventually leave Sam's life the same way that, like, any, like, hired help on the team does, right? Like, they just get hired, they eventually go, and then they're just kind of like passerbys in these people's lives. So, when Sophia leaves to try another dress, there is a diamond scene to get Sam to save you from Sophia. So, did you take it?
Hell yes. I said, baby, help me. Save me, please.
So if you do, Sam will sympathize with Anna, basically being like sorry that she's the absolute worst and like making your day really, really difficult. Anna does confide in Sam about what Sophia said about their relationship, and Sam will be like, "Don't listen to her. She's a master manipulator. Like she doesn't know anything about our relationship." Sam will kind of like put Anna at ease, and then we'll promise to make it right. And then Sam will just like randomly show up at the boutique with like pastries and will take Anna out of the situation. Okay, before we get on with the rest of the chapter, let me interrupt with some plugs. So you can leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/play-choices-podcast/message. It could show up in a future episode. You can also directly support this podcast at anchor.fm/play-choices-podcast/support. If we haven't convinced you yet, listen to this amazing, amazing commercial that Lucas and I put together for you. It
In
takes
the
me
arms
hours.
of an angel.
It takes me, no, keep singing. It takes me
I
hours to record. No, keep doing it.
Here
It takes me
are
hours to record and edit this podcast.
wherever you
And
are.
with your donation
I believe
of
that
$1 a
my
month
heart will
could save me from
go
smashing her fucking head into a
on.
wall.
Why does the heart
Thank you so
go?
much. And back to our episode. How do you feel about the diamond scene?
A little anticlimactic. It was okay. I mean, for the price, it was okay. I shouldn't have expected anything more.
How much was it again?
I think it was 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, gotcha. And if you don't take the diamond scene, you'll message Jenny instead, and Jenny will just be like, "You got this, girl," but like ultimately Anna's gonna have to spend the rest of the day with Sophia still. So not taking the diamond scene is just like it doesn't really do much. At the end of the day, Sam will knock on Anna's door and then ask her to be their date to the gala. So yeah, very kind of eventful chapter where we now know that like Sophia knows that there's something going on, but she didn't necessarily come out and like acknowledge it as being an affair. Chapter 12, I mean, I feel like I could summarize this chapter in one sentence, but let's just go through it for the sake of going through it. Chapter 12 is called The Gala. The chapter summary is all it takes is one night for everything to change. So again, we're picking off in the last chapter where Sam asks Anna to be their date and reveals that Sophia suggested it. So basically, Sophia like got food poisoning or something and said that since Anna helped her prepare for the event, that Anna is going to be the best prepared to take Sophia's place. So Anna will hesitate because she's afraid that this is going to like tempt their relationship, kind of like going out as Sam's date. But Sam calls himself like a selfish person and pretty explicitly states that like Sam wants to take Anna out for like a night on a date. And this is probably the only like acceptable way they're going to be able to do that with Sophia's permission. So then they will head inside the gala, and Sam's parents will be surprised to see Anna. So like they didn't know that Sophia wasn't going to show up. And then his mom will reveal that Robin also couldn't make it to the gala either. So they will be joined by Mason Senior's secretary to like take place. So essentially what we learn is that like the gala is like this special event, and you kind of like have to fill up all of the seats or else you might get like blacklisted for the next year. So then Sam will ask for Anna's help with networking, and basically you'll go up to like, I want to say it's like 2 characters. If you pick off the smoothie options, she can gain some like new context for Sam, and it like impresses their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sam will ask Anna to take a walk with them. And then Sam will make a move to kiss Anna, kind of commenting that they don't really care if anyone sees the 2 of them together because they're on like a balcony outside. Theoretically, someone could walk out, but you know, they don't. And then there is a diamond scene to take things further. So did you take the scene?
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did. And it was hot. It was so hot.
I think it was a good scene. There were some parts of it where I was like, ooh, it's a little bit too on the nose. I don't know how much the dialogue really changes all that much between like the female and male Sam, but I will at least say playing from the male Sam perspective where he was like, I think Sam asked you like, what do you fantasize about? And there's this option where you can pick like, oh, I fantasize you like being my like hard and demanding boss. And then he's like, I
Mm-hmm.
thought I told you to leave your panties on the desk by 6:30. And I was like, oh my god.
Oh, I did not choose that option.
It was so, oh god. I understand some people might be into that. So if that's what you're into, then no judgment for me. Get your nut. You know, as long as it's legal and you're not hurting anybody, I don't care what fetish you have. But for me personally playing that, I was like, ooh, I don't really like that type of dirty talk. It's not my kind of thing. no matter what type of different fetish options or whatever dialogue you pick, essentially Sam and Anna will take the relationship to quote unquote the next level by having sex. Afterwards, Anna will reassure Sam that she won't say anything, and then Anna and Sam will enter the gala kind of like at different times to make it look like they didn't disappear and come back with each other, and Anna will be like upset about this. I just gotta be honest. It just feels very heteronormative to me. I don't know. For women who have sex with women, is like eating out like a big deal? Like, is it as quote unquote of a big deal as like heteronormative couples like make like penetrative sex out to be?
Already in my head, I'm like, no, I don't think oral sex to me is that big of a deal. I think,
Same, like I don't
yeah,
think oral sex is to me that big of a deal either.
yeah,
Like to me, I don't know. I feel like it just feels like they wrote this for like a male Sam because I know like from a heteronormative
yes,
perspective, like
yes.
sex with insertion included, a
Hmm.
penis into something, is for whatever reason like a bigger deal in our society than like any other type of sex. Like I've actually known people who will do everything but have penetrative sex because they think that that's like a huge step and everything before that doesn't count. Which to me like all sex is equal in my opinion. Like I don't think that penetrative sex is like any more or less important than like oral sex is. And it just like this, the importance of this chapter really hones in on, it really hones in on there being this like special level of intimacy that pertains only to penetrative sex, is the way that it comes off to me. To which I'm like, just because you fought, like y'all been like finger banging each other since like the first fucking chapter.
Yes, yes.
I mean, like, okay, so first scene where Anna backed Sam up against those kitchen counters and was like, fuck me tonight. They just did some heavy petting and there was like making out and they like exposed each other's chest or whatever. And then that was it. The scene in the lab, they were going to have sex anyways until Robin walked in. I don't know. I just. I guess I'm just kind of like stuck on this whole like, why is this sex thing so, I mean, clearly it matters to the character, which is like, if they write canonically that sex matters to the character, then it is what it is, right? Like, I can't say that my MC doesn't care about it because my MC did make a big deal from the script. But I think if you're playing, like, if you're like me and you're like, yeah, sex is sex, and like y'all hadn't, the affair was an affair before y'all, before his dick was inside of you. It was an affair long before that. So if you're like me and you play it from this perspective, this chapter just feels like so fucking useless.
No, it is. It is so useless. This chapter, they tried to build. Okay, let me tell you what the.
Okay.
I'm about to drag fucking choices. God, this chapter and this plot made it seem like, okay, Sophia got food poisoning, so now it's your turn to be actually with Sam the way you want to be. So they
Mhm.
dress it up in these pretty little like nuances of romance of like, I'm not thinking about Sophia. I want to be with you. Like you're my date. And then it's just an excuse to finally like have sex with Sam at the
Yeah.
gala on your night on the day that you're his date. Like it's definitely built as pussy plot as a like a night to remember. But
Yeah.
really it's just like a filler chapter. Like there's no real plot, no real like conflict. It's just like it's like finally I got what I wanted, but it seems like a cop out because it's not like over.
Yeah. I feel like if I had a deep dive into the content outside of the sex, which let's be honest, like the plot point here is the sex. Like
It is.
they
Yeah.
built this chapter to get to a point where they have sex, right?
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, there is definitely a lot of value in what you said about it being like a fantasy night. Because it's like basically this is the last high that Anna gets before she gets like low, because she gets to go spend the night dressed up nice on Sam's arm, gets to spend the night in front of their parents, being their date, gets to smooge and like prove that she can operate in the business world with the same type of accuracy that Sophia has. And then they go into the balcony and there's like this dramatic profession of like affection for each other and then they have sex. Like, it's literally the fantasy land that Anna, like, wants to live in. And then right after, Sam is like, we got to enter separately. We can't go
No,
in at the same time.
listen. And again, this is just so stereotypical and like the heteronormative, like definitely like 2000s fucking chick flick plot where it's like you finally give him that coochie and then he icing you out. Like I was like, what is
Right.
this writing? What is this writing? Like what?
Yeah. I will say that is a point that I did not take into account, that there is the entire fantasy plot of it too. To be honest, I didn't even really think that the sex was that big of a deal until chapter 13. So maybe we just need to move on to chapter 13.
Yes, because Sam's actions are like, wow, this really is a big deal. Okay. And Anna
Yeah,
too. Anna's internal
yeah.
monologue. Yeah, we'll get there. Chapter 13, guys.
Anna tripping over in chapter 13. And chapter 12, I thought that the sex was just the icing on the cake of a good date night. But in chapter 13, they making it sound like it's the end all be all. Like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So let's just move on to chapter 13, True. Give everyone a refresher of like why we're talking about the sex so much. So chapter 13 is called The Morning After. The chapter summary is, in the cold light of day, will you and Sam be able to face the consequences of your actions? So the next morning, Anna will prepare food for the boys, and Sam will walk in, and Anna will prompt them to talk later about what happened. Sam will agree, but will put emphasis on the fact that the conversation obviously has to take place when the boys aren't around, because you should not be talking about your affair in front of your children. And then later, Sam will walk into the boys' room when Anna is there and announce that they actually have to go to Italy for a business trip. And we also learn that Sam could be gone for a few months due to like just company and merger negotiations that are going on in their job. So both the twins and Anna are upset, and Sam promises to have one last dinner together before they leave. Anna will take the boys out for the day and will try to like lift their spirits, make them feel better. And on the way back to the penthouse, Sam will text Anna that they actually can't make it to dinner because they're still too busy preparing for the trip. So there is a diamond scene. Take the boys to eat at a like food truck rally. So did you take this diamond scene?
Again, I'm gonna seem heartless. I don't care about these children. I don't.
Yeah.
I just can't like the thought of spending diamonds on them when they're only used to be a obstacle and pussy plot, like it's not enough for me to even actually have like a connection with them.
I like the boys, but I'm not spending diamonds on them too. We can cook dinner at home. Like
Right. And at this point, I really shouldn't, because given how Anna's internal monologue is, she is saying fuck Sam anyway. So I'm like, if Sam would have married that dumbass Sophia who give y'all kale and mushrooms, by all means, like that's not my prerogative. Like I can't
yeah,
influence that anymore.
yeah, like I cannot be in control of how many mushrooms and onions she puts in her omelet. Like I cannot do that for you too. So if you do take it, Anna will take the boys out to go get food at the food trucks, and then later they will ask Anna why they can't have her as a stepmom, and Anna will say that it's just not that simple. But the boys are like, well, we like you, and so I think Dad likes you, so maybe we just need to ask him because they're kids and they don't understand how like marriage works, right? And the boys will say that they'll ask Sam when they get home. So it is kind of like an emotional scene because like Anna does bring up, she's like, listen, at the end of the day, like this is a job. So she's like, I can't be with you boys forever, right? Like she was just like, at some point I have to move on, which is such like a savage thing to say to like the kids that you like nanny. Like it's so fucking mean to tell them like, yo, this is just a job for me, just so y'all know.
Especially given the fact that like none of the other nannies have worked out, and like obviously the kids are really connected to you. So to have that
Yeah.
trust in them, for you to just be like, LOL, see you on the flip side, it's just like savage.
Right, because it's very weird because Anna is like obviously going through like I haven't really mentioned kind of the internal dialogue kind of thing yet, but in the internal dialogue, Anna is definitely like for sure like in her head like, oh, Sam's leaving because they don't want to confront me about like what happened last night, and they got what they wanted from me and they're going, right? Like it's very much like an, oh, Sam used me for sex, and now that they've got what they wanted, they like don't need it again, and then they're gonna go, and this is a way to like force me out of like the nanny position, right? So it's like she's just transferring all of her anxiety to the boys, which is like so fucking inappropriate. Like you should not be treating these kids as like your emotional punching bags just because like you're upset. And now you're having second thoughts of like, oh, well, maybe I just need to find a different job because this has gotten too complicated for me. Like, if you need to find a second job, that's or a different job, that's fine. But like, don't just tell the boys like, oh yeah, one day I might have to move on because your father fucked me, and like now I gotta
Yes.
go.
Yes. Literally though, like we said, Anna's internal monologue, like if you had no idea how Anna really feels about Sam, like now you do. Cause I was like, damn. Like the dialogue had me second guessing, like, did Sam really did he hurt me like this? Like I'm over here like, wow, I just thought it was a hookup session. Like, okay. Like
Yeah, whenever she was like, "Oh, don't," we'll get to. There's a scene where she says something ridiculous. I said, "Baby girl, not everything's about you."
I know. I was like, wow, Anna, we're really reaching here, huh? Okay.
Sometimes there are just situations where like you are being called to go to this particular meeting or series of meetings that are happening, and like you have to leave. Like, I don't know, sometimes I'll see people like online talk about like what they think business people do. Like, it just like there's a lot of ignorance that kind of comes with that, and like I just feel like that has to be chalked up to her being ignorant about how the business world works, because she's just like assuming that like Sam has like all this power and influence at his company, and like Sam's trying to tell her like, no, like, if my dad tells me to go somewhere, like, I have to go. Like, I just can't just walk away from this. And it just comes across as like just her attributing Sam having like more power than they really do.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Because Anna makes a lot of comments like Sam could call it off if they want. But like you know Sam's position in the company and you know like Sam is only focused on trying to obtain CEO. So like why would you feel like Sam would put their like goals on pause just to like comfort you in your anxiety?
Like, there's just certain things that you could do that would look bad. And like, obviously, Sam is like gunning for the CEO position. So, like, they've got to be careful what they do in the next couple of weeks, right? Like, they have to be genuinely very careful on how everything at the business plays out before the merger is over.
That's very true. And not going on a business trip the night after you bring Anna to a gala is very like, that's very microscopically like people are going to notice that.
It's just, it's one of the like kind of complicated things. Like, I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, well, you're this certain position at the company, so you should be able to do whatever you want to do. But like, that's oftentimes not the reality of the situation. And trying to say that like Sam can just reschedule or do whatever they want with a meeting, like, it just isn't true. There are certain things that are really time sensitive. So yeah, it just came off of like ignorance to me about how like the business world actually works. I guess to like summarize, I do think the diamond scene is cute. Like I said, I'm not paying money for these two kids. They're fine. So when you go back home after dinner, Sam will make s'mores with the boys and Anna will excuse herself so that she doesn't intrude on their bonding time. And as Anna is laying in bed, she like convinces herself to go confront Sam, which is like where all of this kind of thing about like, oh, sex being a big deal kind of comes out. So Anna will begin a fight with Sam and can either focus on Sam's impact on the boys or on their relationship. So which should you choose to focus on during the scene?
Baby, I was egocentric. I said, let's talk about us. Let's talk about me. What's going on?
So I picked the boys. I personally think the dialogue is like more like emotional if you pick the boys, because she's like, "Oh, well, have you ever thought about how the boys are going to feel?" And then they kind of go back and forth for a couple of sentences, and then she's like, "Well, just don't take your anger out on the boys because of me." And then Sam's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, to me, it's just like way more emotional dialogue because like Anna's like trying to funnel her frustration into like concern for the kids. And then like she's like, "Oh, I just feel so bad because like you're taking something out on them because of something that I caused." And then Sam's just sitting there like, "Bitch, what are you talking about?" It's essentially like you get the same dialogue no matter like which one you
Right.
pick. I think the boys, picking the boys as a reason just adds like a couple of extra sentences, whereas like if you pick a relationship, it gets like straight to the fucking plot. So yeah, I mean, either way, Anna will allude that Sam is leaving the country because of her, and Sam will defend themselves, saying that they do absolutely have to go, even if the timing does seem like really convenient compared to like the gala.
Right.
And then Sam will admit that they actually have a difficult time looking at Anna because every single time they see Anna's face, it just like reminds them of what they're leaving behind. And then during the scene, also, Anna does have the option of telling Sam to just like fire her because they can't resist temptation. And Anna will say that at least if Sam does fire her, then they can end it with their hands like as clean as they quote unquote can be
Yes.
right now. And Sam will deny this, saying that they can't do that because, like, I mean, their hands are already dirty. And then also, Sam has admitted to being a selfless person very often and says that, Sam just basically doesn't want to go a significant amount of time without, like, basically getting that pussy. It's like the best way
Like,
that I can say that.
yeah, like we're really gonna, yeah. Like, which is just very like, I don't know. Sam was just very aggressive and very like egocentric in this chapter, in my opinion, because Sam ultimately was like, like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do without you when I'm on this business trip, which is like also just very like, I don't know, kind of like manipulative.
Yeah, that's exactly the word that was at the tip of my fucking tongue. It's manipulative as fuck.
Yeah, like it's just very like gaslighting because it's just like you know what you're gonna do, like, like
Well, it's because it's like really like who's in the position of power in this? It's not Anna.
it's not.
It's not. And so like when she comes to you saying like I'm really fucked up that you're leaving for 2 months and like I don't know what I'm going to do without you. And then like I mean again, I'm not trying to say that like Sam has control over the timing of the trip because I don't think that Sam can really budget all that much. It's just super fucked up to be like, well, I also don't know what I'm going to do without you.
Yes,
Don't invalidate like her. You can acknowledge your feelings without like trying to invalidate Anna's. And like you have to understand where Anna is coming from in
and
the scene.
also why is we keep talking about like what's gonna happen between us, what's gonna happen, like, fire me, like let's think about the boys, let's think about you, let's think about Sophia, let's think about everyone but ourselves. But why can't it be as simple as like, hey Anna, listen, like I'm already kind of like a bad person, so like how about we just keep this on the down low until I actually get full control of the company, and then we can be together. Because at that point, who can attest it if you're already CEO? Like the fact that like it's literally like now or never with them. But in my head, I'm like, if you guys just play it cool and like Sam gets control of the company, after that, there's nothing really stopping you guys.
Well, you have to consider like a part of the deal of Sam becoming CEO is marrying Sophia.
You know what? That's most def probably going to be in the contract.
So like if you like took the quiz option then like what was it in chapter 11 when she was quizzing Sophia, like she was like, oh, in the elevator pitch Sophia calls Sam her husband and there's an option to tell her like it's inaccurate because like you're not actually married to Sam yet. And then Sophia is like, but we will be soon anyways. Like it's the wedding is so soon that like Sophia is like already just calling them by like wife or husband depending on what gender you pick.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that scene because that dead ass was like, he not your husband. Like, he not.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah, so like I
playing.
think the assumption is that in order for Sam to become CEO, the marriage is like a part of the deal. So then like if you did wait until it became CEO, then you have to deal with like the whole divorce thing. Unless Anna just trying to be like a mistress for like 15 years. I don't know what her end
Oh
game
my
is with this.
god.
Like I don't really don't know what her end game is with the
Unless,
situation at this
I
point.
mean, Sophia just randomly like go missing. Like,
Right, like Sophia just dies of a tragic illness. Like I don't know. They're like not Sam losing a second wife.
oh my god. Anna
Oh
swoop
my
in
god.
like third time's a charm. Like, hey.
Oh my god. So continuing off of the same dialogue thing where Anna can tell like Sam to fire her. When Sam denies doing that, Anna will get frustrated and be like, well, what is your end game for our relationship? And Sam will be like, no, I want you. So I will say, like, from the aggression standpoint of Sam, for me personally, I actually like that Sam kind of pushed back on Anna because I feel like Anna was jumping to like a lot of fucking
No, she
conclusions that like
did.
Sam
She
needed to set
was.
her straight
I
on.
mean, she was jumping through some hoops. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she did a whole gymnast routine on that floor and she captivated my attention. And then Sam said
To the
she
point
doesn't
where I
even.
almost started feeling bad for her.
Yes. And then Sam said she doesn't even go here. This isn't even an issue. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Sure. Like, you know, And honestly, like, it's so funny how, like, from a writing standpoint, Sam either literally, like, pisses me off so much, or Sam puts me in check. And I'm like, ooh, okay, all right. Like, okay.
Yeah, I think it is important that Sam kind of like pushes back on Anna in these moments because I think it is important for Anna to realize that Sam is like operating under a very like unusual environment. Like I feel like Anna's anger is stemming from the fact that she thinks that Sam has like complete control over everything that's happening to them and like that is just not true. Like Sam has to abide by a certain set of rules in order to get the future that he kind of envisions, right? And one other thing I just wanted to clarify too, because we were talking about like sex being a much bigger deal in chapter 13. And like I didn't necessarily write this kind of like into the notes that I prepared for the episode today, but in the internal dialogue and even in the dialogue between like Sam and Anna, she does spend a lot of time like questioning like, oh, is Sam just leaving because like they got what they wanted and now they get to go like scot free, like no strings attached and just leave for Italy? And she even says this to like Sam's face. Like she's like, "Oh, you do remember that we had sex last night, right?" And Sam's like, "Yeah. I've that's all I've thought about for the last 24 hours is like fucking you. That's like all I've thought about like the entire day." So she definitely thinks that like the sex is like the reason why Sam is leaving her, which is very interesting. Before we continue with the rest of the episode, I do want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, theories, or comments that you would like to be included in a future episode, please email us at playchoicespodcast@gmail.com. Make sure to specify whether you want to be shouted out or not, otherwise all emails will be anonymous. Questions can be related to books we've recorded episodes on, books that we haven't discussed yet, or even questions that you'd like to ask us. Alternatively, you can go to our Ask box on playchoicespodcast.tumblr.com and submit a question. Just specify that it's for the podcast and we'll be sure to include it. And back to our episode. There's a 20 diamond scene to have some sort of like sexual intimacy with Sam again. So did you take it?
Yeah, I got that second nut. I did.
I'm not even gonna lie, it's a hot scene.
It is hot because also, and I knew it was coming, but the intro was still so good because ultimately Anna's just like, prove it to me. Prove that you want me. Prove that you love me.
Oh yeah.
Prove it. And like, it's hot. It really is.
So this time, because there's two different kind of like routes that you can take. Either you can make Sam undress or you can make them like watch you masturbate. If I'm remembering, because the time that I played the whole like masturbation in front of Sam scene was like when I first played this book. So I'm really relying on recall right now. But I think there's a scene where like you get undressed in front of Sam and you like touch yourself and like you tie Sam up so that way they can't touch you and you just like force them to watch you touch yourself as like a punishment of like I'm going to make you wait to touch me because I don't know. I don't really know what the logic is there. It's just hot. I don't even need any logic. I
No,
don't need
it
any
was
plot. It's just
hot.
hot.
It was hot. I chose the Sam slowly getting undressed option. And there's
Yeah.
one part where like Sam is like taking off their pants and Anna says like, you're going too fast. I said slow. And I was like, oh baby, baby.
I just always feel like, and this is just something else because I'm in the middle of like making the notes for like our next episode on Laws of Attraction too. But like when I play the sex scenes in some of these games, sometimes I play them and I'm thinking they're gonna be hot, and then I'm like, oh, okay, and they're hot, I enjoy them, and then I go on YouTube because I'm like, well, I want to see what the other options were, and then I'd be watching it and damn, I picked the wrong one, bitch. I picked the wrong one. That was not the hottest one they wrote.
Yes. I'm trying to tell you, sometimes like, and it's just because of the writing style. Like we know how choices, it'll just be like, you know, decline, and you're like, yeah, I'll decline. Like that seems sweet, and it's like, no, you stupid bitch, I'm not gonna fucking do that. And it's like, well, damn, why didn't I get that whole option? like same goes with these sex scenes. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's what I felt because I think the first time I did the whole like, oh, I'll tie Sam up, and then this time I was like, oh, I didn't do the make him undress last time, so I'll go ahead and do it this time. And I'm like, it's just not as good. I'm sorry. it's just not as good. It's not as spicy. And I would say it's also hot because like obviously I think anytime that you have any like sex scene where there's like obvious there's like tension and anger and love there, it's just so good. The dialogue options where Anna, she's obviously turned on, but she's also like frustrated, so she's trying to like get Sam to like prove their affection and love for her like physically, are so good. Like it's just such good
Yes.
writing. Like I love a sex scene where like it's not all like, oh I love you. Like I love a sex scene where it's like I love you, but also like our relationship is at the brink of ending.
Yes, like literally Sam is looking at it at a standpoint of like, I love you so much, let me show you. And Anna's like, no, 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 no. Fuck me like this is about to be the last time. Like, fuck me like you
Right.
miss me, you know?
Right. And there's like even a line where she's like, I'm the only one that gets to touch you like this. Or like that or because I'm playing the male Sam. So she
Yes.
she like grabs his penis and she's like,
Yes.
this is only for me.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it was so hot.
It's a really good scene, and like I would encourage anyone who enjoyed the Nanny Affair and anyone who's into scenes like that, like go on YouTube and look up chapter 13 of the Nanny Affair book 1 and go rewatch that scene. It's very good.
And not to mention, like, just from the sex scenes from these two chapters that are back to back, like the gala, like you guys were outside under the night sky at a fancy, like, gala overlooking the city.
Mhm.
This one, it's like, no, I'm like yanking everything off this fucking desk and I'm putting you in
Yeah,
it. Like, it
in
is just,
Sam's home office.
ooh, it is the
I
definition
mean,
of
you're
hot.
just getting all of the sexual tropes from like this type of relationship out of the
Yes.
way. It's
Yes.
like all of the sexual tropes you're getting out of the way for sure. So I definitely, and for only 20 diamonds. I mean, come on, that's a steal.
Right. And it's also weird to see how like this type of interaction falls after like the more lovey-dovey sexual interaction. Cause like most of the time it's like, oh, a hit or to quit it, maybe we made a mistake, maybe it's like, this like tension between us. And then the second time it's more like, no, this really is like deep feelings for you. Like I really want to fuck with you and I like really like you. But this chapter, no, no, no. The first sex scene is more so like it's a date night, it's beautiful, it's this, it's that, it's you. And then the second one is like, no, no, no. Just let's just do a quickie in your office. And I'm like, Anna,
Mhm.
Anna.
Mhm. So after the scene, Sam will reveal that their plane actually leaves in the morning, which will likely be before like Anna wakes up. So this is, for all that they know, the last time that Sam is going to see her for the next few months. And then Sam will comment that Anna deserves more. And as Anna's walking out of the office, she will say that she can decide what she deserves before she actually leaves. The next morning, Sam will be at the kitchen table, and Sam will say that they were being a coward, and so they sent Robin ahead to cover all of the meetings for the next week. And they're taking the week to turn the business trip into like a family vacation, so everyone is actually going to Italy. So, I mean, if nothing else can make you feel more like a mistress, doesn't going on the business trip to Italy make you feel like a mistress?
First of all, there's just like that's like a upgraded mistress. Like there's just some power in that. Like there is power. Like how do you con your way onto a business trip? Like
I mean, you're basically a sugar baby at this point. Like, you're not just
right.
the nanny that's having an affair. Like, you're like the sugar baby because you're going to a completely different country with this man now.
Yes. Yes.
Our woman. So, okay, let's move on to the last chapter we're going to discuss, which is called, chapter 14 is called The Flight. And the chapter summary says, you're headed to Italy with Sam and the boys, but will this family vacation fall apart before it even begins? Very dramatic summary. So it's a week later. Anna and Jenny are at the mall shopping for the Italy trip. Anna will confess that she's avoided Sam since their fight. So like literally an entire week has passed and they just not talking to each other, which is like so awkward. And then Jenny will insinuate that, it's not a big deal and Anna can either tell her that she needs advice or she can tell Jenny that she needs her to back off. So what do you think?
Finally, I was like, Jenny, baby, back off.
Yeah.
Like the only helpful advice you give me is to go fuck him, and I did, and like I'm still in this
Look at where I
situation.
am
I
now.
know.
Look at where it got me.
Look at what it got me.
That is so fucking annoying. I will say, like, how Jenny's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Just go fuck him. I'm like, bitch, There's a whole family at risk, bitch. There's a whole family legacy. Like, there's everything that's at risk. And just trying to be like, no, it's just simple. Go fuck him. It's
And
just
like,
like
girl, there is
so
a
like,
whole Fortune 500 company at stake here.
yes. There are stocks at risk.
And it's so funny because like Sam works at like a very high end like biotech chem field. So it's like they're
Mm-hmm.
literally like lives at stake. Like this isn't just like
Yeah.
a company. Like we could like ultimately find the cure to cancer in this company. Like the whole future of the world relies on my pussy right now. And you just telling
Oh
me
my god.
you just telling me to throw it out all willy nilly. Like
Jenny's like, I don't understand the big fucking deal. Like, not like you weren't swinging it around the first day of your fucking employment.
oh my god, there is one part I would like to bring back where
Uh-huh.
Anna's like, you know what's so funny? Like I thought about having sex with you the night of my interview, and I was like, Anna, you.
Yes! I was like, why would you tell him that?
I said, Anna, you speaking a little bit too much. Like I was like, we did not talk about this, sis. We did not talk about this. It wasn't even a dialogue option. I was like, oh my god.
No, she just came out with that shit, and Sam was like, really? Tell me what happened. And I was like, did you not hear her? This happened before she even met you face to
Like
face.
you not weirded out. The moment she said that, I was like, great. Now my Sam's penis is gonna dry up. Thanks a lot, Anna. Oh god. I'm like, you always gotta control every situation. Why?
Oh my fucking god. I've absolutely lost it on now my Sam's penis is gonna die.
I'm
I
like,
wish
oh.
I wish you were on video right now because I was sitting at my desk and I physically left the room when I started laughing. Like, thank God I have a headset on because otherwise y'all would have not been able to hear me when I entered my hallway. Like, oh my fucking God. Yeah, I think we're way overdue on telling Jenny to shut the fuck up. Cause like literally every single time we talk to her, she's like, just fuck him, just suck on his balls a little bit, bitch. It's gonna be fine.
And it's just so funny because there's a lot of like, there's even some diamond option like clothing scenes with her, and it's like, do I look good in this? And like, she's just like, will you get the dick wearing that? Yes. And I'm like, Jenny, can we
She's like,
focus,
Sam's
please?
definitely gonna hoist that up over your hips and pull your panties down. Like, don't even worry about it. Oh my god. I mean, either way, Anna will just spend the rest of the day with Jenny before she leaves. And to be honest, like, even if you told Jenny to back off, she's like, girl, I got you. If me shutting the fuck up helps you through this, then that's what I will do. So I at least appreciated her kind of like response to our concerns. So on the plane to Italy, Anna will try to ignore Sam, and Sam will acknowledge that they've kind of let the ignoring slide for the past couple of days, but Anna is, determined. So she's like, no, I'm not going to talk to you at all on the trip. Then that immediately, goes down the drain because she's flipping through a magazine to attempt to ignore Sam, and then she notices that there's a photo of her at the gala with Sam in the magazine. She can comment that she's glad that cameras are not in the event because it would be embarrassing, and Sam will confirm that they're not actually embarrassed about anything that happened that night, but just rather kind of regretful about how it was handled after. So this kind of conversation, just kind of like cuts the tension a little bit between the two of them. And then there's like a 20 diamond scene to hook up with Sam. So did you take this?
Okay, so this is where I started getting over it, and I started being a little bit more aggressive because even after the sex scene, Sam is just not making me feel like I'm the only one, and it's just so weird because I feel
Are you
like
talking
the
about the sex
second,
scene from chapter 13?
yes,
Okay.
because I feel like the second sex scene, like Sam was like, "Hey, I love you. Like this really is going to be painful for me," and I say, "Prove it." And then the opening dialogue for the new chapter is like, "Y'all haven't spoken in a week," and I'm like, "Well, damn, what the hell?"
I mean, to be fair, that's more so on like Anna's part. Like that's
True,
her fault
true.
for like avoiding him. And I think that like Like, if I were Sam, I would be like, all right, I mean, we had a contentious night the night before. You know, we fucked, but it wasn't under the best circumstances. So maybe I just need to let Anna be and just kind of experience this. And so I do respect that, like, on the plane at least, Sam was like, so you've been avoiding me, and, like, I'm kind of sick of it. So, like, can we
Yes.
talk?
That is true. That is true because Anna says something like, "Oh, now you want to talk to me," and Sam straight up puts her in check and was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I've been trying to talk to you. You've been the one ignoring me."
Yeah. And then she was like, well, I was preparing for the trip. I'm like, all right, bitch. How much preparing? You put off shopping for the trip until the day of.
And you asked your most toxic best friend.
At the end of chapter 13, Sam says it's going to take me a week to put together a family trip for all of us. And then at the beginning of chapter 14, it says it's been a week and Anna has not talked to Sam. So I'm like, you using this excuse of like you were busy preparing for the business trip is obviously a fucking lie because you put off buying anything for it until the fucking 12 hours before the flight.
Yes. But yeah, I didn't take this diamond scene. I just did not like, I don't know. I didn't like the conversation leading up to it.
Okay. I will say probably the only thing of note for the diamond scene is that Sam will kind of like in the beginning of the scene, they'll be like, "Are you sure that you're not using like my genitals as an excuse to not talk to me about this relationship?" And she's like, "No, no, no. I just really like want to feel you like inside of me," basically is what she says, and then they'll hook up. So, at least Sam is like acknowledging that that could be the case and is like, "No, but I do genuinely want to have a conversation with you about the nature of our relationship." And then after the scene, Anna and Sam will have, you know, the talk. Anna will ask what they plan on doing, and Sam will confirm that they'll actually have to marry Sophia because the marriage is like the only way to merge the families and the companies. And the marriage would be, you know, the manner in which that Sam would secure a future for the boys where Sam could like step in as the CEO after the merger is finished. And without the marriage, it's very likely that Robin will take over the company and then the boys won't really have like a name to the company, which Sam considers to be like their birthright. During this conversation, you can also learn that Sam talked to Mason Sr. about Anna, and even though he isn't necessarily opposed, he thinks that Sophia is the better match and he won't change his mind. Anna can either ask that they stop messing around with each other entirely or will ask if they can sneak around. So, what did you pick?
I said cold turkey. I said, let's stop this.
Same, boo.
Let's stop.
Same.
Let's stop. I just feel like, and it's funny. I don't know. I mean, like, could you cross the line of a wedding? Like, that's a ceremony. That's, that's messy. That's, oh, oh, it's already so messy, and you want me to continue it even after y'all propose to each other? I mean, like, actually go through with the wedding? I can't do that. I can't. Mm-mm.
Honestly, I feel like based off of the dialogue, like after this, if you do pick the whole let's sneak around, which like come on, have a little bit of respect for yourself first of all. This version of Anna has like the least amount of self-respect I've ever seen in
Yes,
a
I'm like,
person.
where did she come from? Where did this like
I d-
insecure Anna come from? Because bitch, this was not you the last chapter.
yeah, like it was just absolutely ridiculous to watch like Anna go down this route. And I understand why they did it, you know. It is a game called choices. They're going to want to give you some choice in like how you kind of manage the affair. The whole sneak is just like ridiculous because even in the dialogue, so she like tells him, she's like, I know I can't make you pick between me and Sophia, so I'm not going to. And then like in her internal dialogue, she's like, at least not yet. And I'm like, are you really signing up to like break the marriage apart? You know how many years that's going to take? You know how long of a commitment that is to try to encourage Sam to break up with Sophia after they have to get married for the merger?
But this is Anna's first time like biting off more than she can chew because even when it came to like the family like what was it country club party thing, she was just
Hmm.
like, oh, I'll make Sam's parents like me more than Sophia. Baby, they watched her in diapers. Like
Yeah.
they grew
Yeah.
up with her.
She's just a little bit too overconfident about this entire situation. I really
Absolutely.
hate the sneak option. And even like Sam, I love how often these words selfish come up in the next few chapters because it is absolutely so goddamn funny to me. How many times Sam's like, I'm too selfish to say no. And this is one of the many, many circumstances where they say this. Because Sam's like, I don't want to put you through that, and I feel like that's really unfair, but like if that's what you're pushing for, homegirl, then like I guess that's what it's gonna be because I still want that punani.
Very much, very much. Like Sam is very much like, you're gonna have the information on our relationship at all times. Just know that like we can never fully be together. But if you're game, I'm game. If you want to throw the game away, that's okay with me as well. It'll hurt, but like I understand.
I will say that is probably like the one redeeming quality about Sam is that like Sam is not ignorant to like the pain that they're causing Anna, and I think like they are very apologetic about the situation that Anna's in. So yeah, I went ahead and said stop because I
Mm-hmm.
was like,
The future's already set. Like,
yeah, you already know how it's gonna end, girl. So unless something changes, you might as well go ahead and walk away.
yes, like you know how this is gonna end. Like, I don't know how many like Sam has said this with his lips on your pussy. He has said this with his lips outside of the realm of your body. Like Sam has been 100% like, this will not end well with you. All of this is up to you. You have all of the control in this relationship because it's not a real relationship. I don't have anything to offer but my penis. You want cards for a day, fine. But other than that, like I can't give you anything else.
He's like, I can buy you a nice dress for the gala. I don't know what else I can do.
Hell no, we had to spend diamonds on that dress. As far as I'm concerned, we
You're
paid for
right.
it.
You are right. You're absolutely correct.
He said, I can lease this dress for you, but you gotta put the down payment for it.
Oh my god.
Oh, you gotta pay Sam to stand up to Sophia. Like this relationship is not looking well
Yes.
this past couple of times. We is in the dark times. We is in the dark times.
Bitch. Anna thinks it's 2021 and Sam says it's the Industrial Revolution.
No.
Bitch. We just discovered electricity.
Dead ass. Like literally Sam said, I have to marry Sophia on paper, but I do enjoy your ankle every now and then. Like
Oh my fucking god. Yeah, I feel like the only like self-respecting option is to just like stop. Like, who says sneak? Just be honest with me right now. If you says sneak, be honest with yourself and look in the mirror and ask yourself, when is your next therapy appointment scheduled? I need to know.
Eric, we talking to you? We talking to you because you messy.
Damn, you said Eric.
You messy Eric.
Eric actually really fucking hates the Nanny Affair, so he will hate that you said that.
Not me. Won't catch me.
Oh my god, that was the most random Eric call out. Eric's gonna be like, who picking Sam? Not I.
Like literally, Eric only plays the Nanny Affair to beat the algorithm of there being one LI. Like Eric's like, there's no LIs actually.
There's no. He's like, probably the entire time he was probably like, nope, not fucking, don't kiss me. I just literally want to be the nanny. Eric probably is a player that like tried to break the game to be single.
No, for
But yeah, no, if you pick stop, Sam will basically be like, I guess I should go to the other side of the plane then, huh? And not be cuddled up with you. And Anna's like, yep, leave, bitch.
No, like literally. I was like, oh damn, okay, all right.
It's so uncomfortable. And it's a 9-hour plane ride. I'm like, y'all can't get in just a few more quickies before y'all break up? Like, what else are you gonna do? What else are you planning on doing in a 9-hour plane ride? I'm trying to get into the Mile High Club, especially on this nice ass plane where they said they offer like full body massages.
You
It
already
seems like
know
the
that's the option
opportunity.
I clicked too. I said full body.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine getting literally every part of your body stimulated. You might as well.
Oh.
Might as well.
He said my pussy, my back hurts.
Hey, imagine getting your back broke both ways. Like, you know what?
Oh my god, I can't. god. The group will arrive at the villa in Italy, and the boys are very clearly restless because they've just been in a 9-hour flight. I mean, I think anyone would be either tired or restless. Like, you're going to be either, like, super fucking exhausted or just, like, full of energy because you've just been sitting still for 9 hours. So there is a diamond scene to convince Sofia to let the boys play hide or seek in the vineyard. Did you take the scene?
Like I said on that plane, I'm done. I said, Sofia, do your job as stepmother. Do your job.
Oh!
I said, do your job, baby. I did your job better than you. Let's see if you could do mine better than me. Show me, baby.
I know, it's so funny watching Sofia have to deal with these kids because I'm like, baby girl, you gotta learn. You gotta learn how to manage them.
I just love the dialogue trope and like plot that it's just like, Mickey, that's Mason. Like, I just love that. Like,
I'm telling you, bro, she does not know who these kids are. Oh my god.
At all.
It's so bad. So if you do take it, Sofia will agree. And she actually seems really eager to play herself. Like, at first she's the hardest about it, but then she's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it, but only on one condition, if I'm not it. So she has like a lot more energy entering the game than I would have anticipated to see from her. Mickey will end up being it, and then Anna will run to hide. Sofia will get caught first because she was on the phone, so that will make her the it of the next round. And then in the second round, Sofia will find Anna, and the scene will continue until like Anna tires and she goes to bed. I would say kind of the only spicy thing that happened during the scene is that during the second round where Sofia is it, you can either choose to hide with the boys or you can choose to hide with Sam. And if you do choose to hide with Sam, they're like hiding in the vineyard, like you can make out with him, and like Sofia will like come grab like Anna's shoulder. But it's not like quite clear if she saw them kissing. So I don't know. That's just like a little tidbit about how that scene is like a little bit spicy because, you know, anytime Sam is in a scene, like we kind of have to touch his dick a little bit. Like we can't just like it can't just be a diamond scene if you aren't just like brushing up on her clit like
no,
a tiny bit.
No, it is not a diamond scene if Sam and Anna are not like, fuck everything that we've said. Let's just be completely obvious that we love each other.
No, and that's what also pissed me off because I'm like, didn't we just tell him like a scene ago that we were gonna stop this, and then I have an option to like touch the tip of his dick like the next fucking scene, like oh, there's just no consistency. I mean, I get that like Pixelberry has to make their coin in some way, right? And like some people still want to kind of flirt with him, but I don't know. From the way that I'm playing my character, it didn't really make any sense to have that option. Alright, before we move on to the rest of the chapter, let me interrupt to plug our socials. We are at playchoicespodcast on Instagram and at playchoicespod on Twitter. You can also go to playchoicespodcast.tumblr.com for our Tumblr page, which is where I post any episode notes that I have, like links to posts I've mentioned, photos I've mentioned, or more. We're also available for listening on all major platforms, so if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate, review, and subscribe. It's a funky thing with the algorithm that helps us a lot. I wish I could explain it more in depth, but I just know that it helps us. So we do appreciate any reviews that you leave us. And as always, we are a growing podcast. So if you see us pop up on your socials, we do appreciate a share, a retweet, or a reblog, depending on the platform you see us on. We also appreciate it when you share our podcast with your fellow choices-loving friends. And now back to the episode. So later, Anna will wake up and find Sofia in the kitchen, and Sofia will offer her some coffee. As Sofia pours a cup, her phone will buzz, and Anna will hand Sofia the phone, but on the way to hand her the phone, of course, she gotta be nosy as fuck. And so she looks at the text, and the text actually revealed that Sofia's actually cheating on Sam.
Now listen, I knew where the plot was going to go, because like the coffee shop, like this was a good, 11 through 14 was a good, like, from a podcast standpoint, because like in chapter 11 we mentioned that like Sofia has like a quote unquote a coffee date that she has to meet up with, and I knew that this was going to happen in chapter 14 when she reached for Sofia's phone, but I was like, is it really what it's supposed to be? Like, is it really like kind of like where they're hitting to? And then I saw like the eggplant emoji, and I was like, "Oh no, it is okay. All right." I just cannot imagine using the eggplant emoji platonically. Like, I just can't.
No, absolutely not. And not to mention that the contact name is DTF.
Right. And then literally the messages was like, I know there was one with the eggplant emoji and another one that was like, like fiance is getting in the way, and I was like, damn, okay,
yeah. Yes, exactly.
And it's just so funny because looking at that, I'm just like over here like, Sam, baby, forget what I said about the plane. Like, forget what I had said because it just seemed like we all acting dirty out here. So when
Oh no, we all fucked up.
we all
Everybody's
fucked
fucking
up,
everybody.
we all fucked up. And if Sophia got anything to say about what we do in our apartment when she's not there, that I'm gonna just be like, what about your boo? Let's not forget,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm. I mean, if there were any doubts that Sophia may have feelings for Sam, I think we can cross them out right now. Like,
Oh, absolutely,
she definitely
absolutely.
does not. She does not give a fuck about this man or woman. It's just so stupid to me that she has a contact in her. I still can't get over the contact name because, like, isn't Sophia supposed to be smart?
Literally DTF, literally.
I literally just do not understand. I mean, the text enough were damning themselves, but
But here's the thing, you know what? This is not a premonition. This is just dialogue. We're just, speaking our feelings, right?
mhm.
If I tell Sam that Sophia's cheating and Sam get butthurt about it, Sam get his ass whipped. That's it. That's it.
Mm.
Because that's it. I don't want to hear no like, how could Sophia do this to me? I don't want to hear none of that. I just want to hear like, oh wow, that changes things. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, I just want to hear Sam be like, so she can't say shit now, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Like that's where we need to be at for real.
Definitely agree with you. So let me ask you, what do you think that we're gonna find out? Because obviously this is a really major cliffhanger, right? Like now Sophia's like we know Sophia is having an affair of her own. So like, what do you think we're gonna find out in like the next couple of chapters? Because we have 6 more chapters to
Oh
go.
my god, we do have 6 more chapters. So I feel like Sophia's definitely gonna look at this from more of like a I want my cake and eat it too, because I think it's very hilarious that like we look at Sam in that light, but not really like Sam and Sophia are the same person. Like they're both just doing this
Basically.
in order to get ahead in the family business.
Hmm.
So I think it's just gonna be so egocentric for Sophia to be like, yeah, like I have a side piece, but also like how bold do you have to be like, A, I have a side piece, and B, even if I didn't have a side piece, Sam still wouldn't want you. He would want me. Like that's what makes me mad about this whole situation. Because I'm like, you want your side piece and you're not even threatened at all by me because you think you're just God's gift to earth to the point that like Sam wants you indefinitely. Don't like that. But I think Sophia's definitely going to play that role of like just very arrogant with it. Like, oh, well, duh, like it's only like a business arrangement, like type mess. And oh my God, if Sam does not say what I need Sam to say, we're going to have some issues. We really are. We're going to have some issues because I just feel like this goes deeper than like what Sophia can offer for the company. Because like if Anna works hard enough, she can offer the same. Like she's very versed in the workspace of what like Sam does. It's clear that she can handle herself in like these like business gatherings. I got 2 people to help y'all out in stocks. Like that was me. Sophia won't here to do that. That was me. And I look cute doing it. So anything Sophia can do, I can do better. And she just need to hit the curb. Because we always want to talk about what Anna and Sam can do to mess up the company. What is Sophia doing that can mess up the company? Well, why can't we talk about her?
I think the only part that I probably have a different perspective on is I don't think Sophia's arrogance comes from her thinking that Sam is in love with her. I think her arrogance comes from the fact that she knows that she's from a different background that Anna can't compete on.
That is true. We can't.
Because, like,
We
at the end of the
can't.
day, like, Sophia's been, like, prepped to be, like, this businesswoman for her entire life. This is literally her whole background.
That's
And,
true.
like, Anna just came in, like, maybe, I would say at best a few weeks ago, like, maybe, like, a month or two ago, right? Like, I don't really know, like, what the timeline of this is, but, like, just based off of some more like content and stuff I've been looking at, it's apparent to me that this is happening during the summer
Right, right, right.
because the boys aren't in school right now. So this is taking place from like May through July, right? So at best, if it's July, well, no, because this is happening. This is definitely happening in May, right? Because Sam said that this business trip was going to take place. The business trip could take up to 2 months, and that's when Mason and Mickey were like, "Oh, so you're basically going to be gone for the rest of the summer."
Yes, yes.
So it's been like a couple of weeks, like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks at this point. I would estimate like late May, mid June time period. is what I'm thinking. So like Anna really hasn't been at this for that long. Actually, you know what? May makes perfect sense because Anna also just very recently graduated with her master's.
Yeah, May does make the perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like late May, mid June kind of
Yes.
timing.
Yes.
And so like Anna really hasn't been on this for that long. And I think like Sophia, I don't think Sophia is like in the dark that like they're not in love with each other. And so obviously, I mean, obviously she has some side dick, right? From the eggplant emoji. I don't know if that changes if Sam is a woman. Like I don't know if they make that a different emoji because that if Sophia is only attracted to women, then the eggplant emoji would not make sense. But I mean, she obviously has a side piece, so I don't think she's in the dark that like they're probably getting their like sexual satisfaction from other places, but I just think that she's probably brushing off the significance of it. I think she probably thinks that like if there is something going on between Anna and Sam, she's like, yeah, let him get his meal before, you know, I lock him down. Whatever. He's still gonna marry me because there's too much at stake.
That is true. That is very true.
Do you think that we know who the side piece is?
Stop, because if it's Robin, I'm doing backflips. Do you see me? I am doing. If it is Robin, I'm straight up boxing Robin first, and then I'm gonna go
Oh.
box Sophia, and that's just straight up boxing. Wow, like okay, because oof.
You think Robin's the only person that it could possibly be if we knew who it was?
Catastrophically, like I'm
Catastrophically,
like
yes, I do.
I'm thinking about like where like plot wise, because if it was just some like
Hmm.
average Joe, I don't think Sophia would be into that anyways.
Right.
I feel like it would have to be someone that is somewhat familiar with her and somewhat on the same level socially and economically as her, and Robin's the only one who fits that, description.
Yeah, that we know of. It could be a character
It
that we
could be
haven't
right,
like
right. It
met.
definitely
But I mean like, oh, like we went to like business school. We got our MBA together, you know, kind of thing.
right, right.
Um so your best guess is if it is somebody that we know that is probably Robin.
Yes, that is gonna be it. Not saying that it is, but like if it is, oh my god, that's gonna be so messy.
Such an interesting pair, right? Because like Robin is like this like playboy slash girl, depending on what gender you pick for Sam. Seems very like a weird pairing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Maybe that's another reason why Robin wants his marriage to happen so bad. Maybe Robin's content with being the side piece and doesn't want to have to end up marrying Sophia. If I mean, granted, if it blew up now, I don't think Robin would be like rebound husband. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a good little viewpoint to be looking at.
Yeah. Okay, our bets are in, folks. We'll see. We'll see when we finish this book what happens. Let's finish with some rapid fire impressions. So again, these are quick, like only a couple of words, top fresh off the dome impressions, right? So let's just start with Anna.
Oh God, naive. A little naive right now.
Sam.
Oh God, Sam. I don't know. Like it. I don't know because Sam has only ever been honest. So like my viewpoint on Sam has been very consistent because Sam is truly, in my opinion, looking at everyone but themselves because Sam has made it vocal like numerous of times. Just now made it vocal. Hey, I'm doing this for my kids. Has made it
Mm-hmm.
vocal like, this is beneficial for me and Sophia to like kind of take control of our parents' companies. Has been like, hey, Anna, you will get hurt. Like, let's not pretend like you're not going to get hurt. And it's just been very vocal with like a advocate for everyone but themselves. So like my viewpoint on Sam is just very like, when you gonna do something for yourself? Like it's funny because you say you're selfish and like maybe you are for like indulging with Anna, but still like you won't let yourself fully have what you want because of other people.
Well, I think Sam's story is very similar to probably like a lot of parents can probably relate to, which is that when I was younger, I was selfish, but now I have two people depending on me, and like I just can't fuck up like that again.
Right, right, right.
I'm sure that's been like beaten into Sam's brain, which is like a part of the reason why there's so many eyes on Sam is because it's like Sam's dad is probably looking at them like, I know that you're capable of doing the right thing, but I have just seen you just be super irresponsible so many fucking times that, like, I still have to watch you. And, like, Sam knows that. Sam knows that there's eyes on them at all times.
Right.
So, Sofia.
Bitch. Next. Been a bitch day one is a bitch day probably at this point like 48. Next. Like,
right. Robin.
Sneaky. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky. Mm-hmm.
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 Mysterious. I don't really know what their angle is right now.
Yes. Very sneaky.
And then the boys.
You know, a joy to everyone but me and Sofia. Like, Anna needed to stop pretending like she actually cared about the boys and like she cared about. It's picture perfect. I feel like Anna cared about the boys because it could lead to Sam and be picture perfect. I feel like if it was just like if we're gonna talk about it, we could talk about it. But like she stayed being like Sophia don't even like the boys. What does that have to do with anything? A lot of stepchildren don't get along with their step parents regardless of anything. Like, and then there's some that do. Like it's just like a flip of the coin. It's family no matter what. Like it is what it is.
Right. No, and that's the thing is like she keeps talking about this whole like, oh, Sophia doesn't care about them, but I'm like, are you really trying to tell me that a part of the reason why you want to be with Sam is so you can be a stepmama? Because that's not. I mean, you like the kids and that's all fine and well, but like, let's not sit here and pretend that like the kids are like a major driver for you, like encouraging this affair with Sam.
Right, because you guys still need to date before you're engaged. Like you're not gonna get married after a month of knowing each other.
God, I hope not. I don't know. Sam has said over and over again they're reckless as fuck, so we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't.
We do not know what they're gonna do.
We don't.
All right, it's time for bingo. I think we've gotten to the point where we can I hope we can at least cross off, I'm gonna say hopefully 2 boxes.
Okay.
Oh god, here's the first one. MC or her boss will quote unquote stop the relationship because they feel guilty about the affair.
Yes, I think so too. But I just think Sam doesn't feel guilty for Sophia's sake. I think Sam feels guilty for the kids' sake because Sam knows they're kind of like playing with like fire right now.
To be honest, the thing is, I would venture to say that MC is more so the one that's feeling quote unquote guilty right now.
That internal monologue of hers, guilty conscious, man. She stayed talking about it.
Yep. The next one is MC will demand more money or benefits to keep the affair secret. We really haven't seen that yet.
No, at all.
I'm just so upset because, like, oh, God, we are so close to getting bingo. Somebody help us. MC's boss will stay with their partner regardless of their promises for the future. Bruh. I'm marking that shit right now.
The nail on the damn head.
God damn. Where's our bingo, bitch? Like, god damn. If you could, I'm gonna have to send you this bingo afterwards so you can just see how close we are. It's actually frustrating.
Oh my god.
The children will pressure their parent MC to date. I want to mark that just purely because, like, the children were like, during the diamond scene where the food truck, they were like, well, why can't you be our stepmom? Like, we'll just talk to dad and see if you can be our stepmom.
Right.
Can we mark that?
Yes, no, that's very much truth. The kids know. Like, let's stop pretending like they don't. They know.
Right. No, the kid's been like, why does daddy have syrup on the side of his mouth and Anna also has syrup on the side? I don't understand. Why are they breathing all heavy? And with that box, we have officially made bingo.
Yay!
Yep, it is the middle row going sideways. We've made bingo. Now, it is a free spot there, but we have made bingo.
Period.
But still, let's just see like how much further we can get. So the media will find out about the affair and make it a big deal. No. The children will walk in on MC and their parent banging. No. MC's boss's partner will be unaware of the affair. No. I mean, I think at this point we can officially say that's not going to happen, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I definitely think at this point, like, we can comfortably say that that is not the case. The next one is MC's boss's partner will know about the affair the whole time and be cool with it. I kind of go back and forth on this one because it felt like Sophia didn't really, like, actually believe us.
Right.
When we said there was an affair. So, like, I feel like she's cool with it only because she doesn't think it's, like, real.
Yes, she doesn't know the severity of it.
Yeah, so I kind of hesitate to, like, mark that box. I don't think it really fits the requirements. Wait, so does that mean that I shouldn't? Does that mean I shouldn't mark out the other box as like will never happen kind of thing?
Um,
When we were talking about them being unaware of the affair and will be shocked when they find out. Yeah, let's not mark that box because I don't think that she really knows
the
yet.
full, yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because having a crush and then like an affair, like that's two different things.
two very different things. Yeah. Next one is MC and her boss will bang in a common area of the house. I'm still waiting for it.
Yeah, the office is not like I wouldn't label that a common area.
No, no, I wouldn't either. MC's boss's partner will agree to deal with the affair and stay in the relationship. Should even know. And there was a very dramatic breakup at some point. I mean, I think the airplane was a dramatic
No,
breakup.
that for you to move away from a person, knowing that you're in a tight spot for the next 9 hours, and theoretically you can only probably even be like 15 feet away from them at all times.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty dramatic. Like,
yeah. I will say that that is definitely a dramatic breakup. So we did officially reach bingo. We've officially made it deep enough into a book to hit bingo on one of
I
these,
know, I love it. I love it.
which is exciting. But with that, we can celebrate that we've got bingo, and that's the end of our episode, everybody. So thank you all so much for listening. We come out with new episodes every single Saturday. They go live at midnight on Saturday on every single listening platform that you could imagine. I mean, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We on YouTube too. And also, let me just slide in a quick little plug for myself. I am also on Twitch. It's twitch.tv slash playchoicespodcast. And right now, we actually don't really do any choices content, to be honest. I do Romance Club streams. So if you like Romance Club, every Tuesday at 7 p.m., you can come watch me stream. And hopefully, I'm looking to add kind of more to that schedule. But I don't know, we'll figure it out. I've just started. But if you're interested in watching me live on Twitch, I do go live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. EST for Romance Club. But overall, thank you all for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.